Today with us, Mr. Anurag Gupta. He is from, MBA from London School of Economics, New York University Stern, HEC Paris. And Anurag has a 25 plus year of experience of PNL, operational leadership experience in professional services, technology outsourcing, BFSI, and management consulting at QS Corporate, Capgemini, Gulf Bank, GE, Bharti, ICICI, and IDBI Bank across Australia, North America, APAC, Middle East, and Indian geographies. Presently, Anurag is a member of incubation team of the CEO for the technology staffing for First Meridian, which is backed by 3 global private equity investors with 100K associate across 4 operating companies. Very recently, he has nominated as a master mentor of top-notch B School, with other mentors from academia, industry, members of parliament, and economists. Beside this, he is an angel investor and MBOD of well-funded startups and mid-sized companies. In his last 8 to 9 years, Anurag has held CB executive roles with APAC board members and CEO of QS Corporate, where he built India's largest technology staffing company with more than 100K consultants. It is quite big number. Capgemini, where he incubated and built $250 million technology outsourcing business for Australian Bank across 4 geographies. That's really wonderful. And Gulf Bank, where he served as a management team member to lead its turnaround and restructuring after reporting a loss of, you know how much? $1.5 billion. So it was a really great effort by Anurag. Anurag is a lifelong learner, and we have interacted during our college days as well. Recently, he secured admission in Harvard Business School for their flagship program, AMP, which was due to start in year 2020, but due to this COVID, it is getting postponed in 2021. He is also holds an engineering degree, which I was mentioning that we shared the stage with him. Beside this, he is a certified Six Sigma Master Black Belt from GE and corporate director from IOD. Let's welcome everybody. Please welcome Mr. Our Anurag, beloved Anurag Gupta.
Good evening. Good evening. I hope all of you are keeping well in pandemic. Not great times, but yes, it teaches a lot. Very interestingly, Swapnalekha, who spoke to you, was my batchmate and a very dear friend. And Radhakant Saab is someone I have very fond memories of my time because he was my senior by 1 year. But more interestingly, we shared the stage on mimes, skits, Dam Charade. He was he's one of those connoisseurs of literary and cultural society where I was a member of it. So we have a couple of pictures actually, where we are holding trophies by performing on stage. So great memories. Great to see you again. It's been a long time, but you still look very similar, very similar. So God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Seriously. And trust me, it's a pleasure to be here. HBTI 8993. So some amazing memories. I think it laid the foundation for people like us. We owe a lot to this institution, to our professors, to our seniors, to our own batchmates, and even to our juniors. So I think in total, whatever we are, there is a very significant role this institution has played in our life. And last I visited was a couple of years back for the 25th anniversary, where we were there for 2-3 days, and it was really amazing. And I think the friendships which we have made or we formed in those days continues even today. And best of my friends are the folks which actually studied during that used to be HBTI, now HBTU. So amazing memories. Lakeview Hostels, West Campus, Nawabganj, Gurudev Movie Hall, Yog, Yog Restaurant, Treat, our movie hall. So
Yeah.
all in all, I think a fantastic time. I think just brilliant, brilliant memories. So very nostalgic about this. So again, thank you so much for having me here. And Radhika Saab, thank you so much for hosting me here. So that's like 2 cents from my side before we get started.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anurag, and it is really pleasure to having you. And we would be having a interactive session, and where we'll be chatting with you, and this our conversation and interaction will certainly is going to help all those people who are attending this. So to start with, it will be more like a question answer session, and whatever question comes on the chat box, I will be sharing with you, so you can answer on there before on our before behalf. So first thing I would like to know, I would like to understand. Tell us about little about your industry, the tech staffing, your company, the first Meridian. What is it all about?
Sure. Uh, so I think to keep it very short, and today actually I gave a small debrief to the Pune chapter with Neeraj and all on the same topic
Okay.
today morning at
Okay.
around
Okay.
11:30.
Okay. Okay.
Ravi,
Okay.
Praveen, Neeraj, and others, right? So our industry is pretty simple. You must have heard about IT companies like Infosys, Capgemini, TCS, HCL
Mm-hmm.
Wipro. Now, SCL Wipro,
Mm-hmm.
Capgemini, they work with clients like large banks in US or Europe or UK, like Barclays Bank. They have clients like ANZ. They have clients like JP Morgan. They work with large telecom
Mm-hmm.
players like Samsung, Nokia, Huawei. They work with Oracle. They work with Microsoft. So, I mean, yes. So they work with, Renault Nissan. So they have number of clients across industries like healthcare, telecom, engineering, automobile, banking, where they do development, software development work. And you would see large campuses, a great way to start your career as well. Now, so when large banks or large healthcare companies give their IT development work or testing work or infra management work to these large IT services company like Infosys or like an IBM or Accenture, they have a mix of full-time people and contracting people. Now there are
Okay.
reasons why they like contracting, but typically if Infosys have 200,000 employees, almost 10% to 15% are on contracting, which means they're not on their payroll, but they are working in their campus servicing their clients. Now that's what we call is IT staffing, contract staffing, contingent workforce. I mean, you have different names across different continents. Now this industry, IT staffing globally is $60 billion. India is $3 billion.
Oh.
And essentially, client gives us their demand, which is in the form of job descriptions. We have a battery or the army of recruiters, IT hiring recruiters, who go to job boards like Naukris, Indeed, LinkedIn, and internal databases. They match the profiles of candidates with the job description. Then they do screening of those profiles, which is talking to them, interviewing them. And when they shortlist the profiles, they present to the client, which is in this case could be an IBM. And in case we work with Microsoft
Mm-hmm.
directly as well, Oracle directly. So depending on the client we work, we send them profiles, they have their round of interviews. Once we select the candidate, the final selection happens on the client. We onboard that person on our company payroll. We deploy them on the client side, and that duration could be 1 year, 9 months, 3 years, 5 years, so on and so forth. I had the pleasure and opportunity of building India's larger IT staffing company in the past, that is 14 to 17, 2017. 3 years, we went IPO, which is, we got listed in a stock exchange with an valuation of $2 billion. Even that time, I was on the board of that company. The company was Quest Corp. And so I had almost 11,000 people in India, which were called into IT staffing. But globally, I had almost 14,000 people because I had Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, US, and Canada as my geographies. So that's a little bit about the IT staffing, Radhakan Saab. I mean, very, very small piece of it, right? So yes, contracting at one point I was a taboo. But today, if you move into Western geographies like US, Europe, or even Australia, where I've worked, the contract staffing is as high as 30%. People actually want to be
Okay.
career contractors. They want career contractor. They don't want to be a full time. So if you give a choice to an individual, they'll say we like to be a contractor because there your taxation is very low. You're more flexibility. Every year or two, you can change companies, change industries, different projects, different variety of stuff. And then you can also take a break, right? Typical the Western world for 3 months, have fun, and then come back again. So yes, so India is catching up. India is still close to, it's a $3 billion industry. The expectation before pandemic was by 21 is to touch 5+ billion. It is growing at a CAGR, annual compounding growth rate is around 18%. Almost double the IT staff. IT world is growing by 11-12. It is growing 18%, 20%. And it's a fabulous industry. And about my company, I was fortunate to be part of a founders team, or incubation team, with a very senior gentleman who's got 38 years experience. He comes with IT staffing world. He was an MD of one of the largest company in the world, Edico, for India. He had a vision to build another company of his own, and that's where he got people like me together, 3-4 of us, and we worked behind the scene for a year and a half, and he worked for 3 years behind the scene. And on July 2018, we launched a company called First Meridian. It's headquartered in Bangalore. We are backed by 3 large private equity investors. Goldman Sachs, which I'm sure we all know, it's a US bank, investment bank. We are also backed by Zancor Partners. It's a Hong Kong-based private equity fund, which has got $16 billion fund size, and Samara Capital, which is $1+ billion, the Indian. So we raised a very large quantum of funds. So far, in fact, Radhakant, to be very honest to you, last Thursday, which is 3 days back, I was in Bangalore. We signed the 5th company as an acquisition.
Oh, wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you. In IT staffing. So our philosophy is simple. We want to acquire companies. We have acquired so far 5 companies in India. We are close to 1 lakh employees. And I say 1 lakh, please understand, these are employees who are working out of client premises. And we are into journal staffing. We are into e-commerce. You have people coming from Amazon and Myntra coming to your home, Zomato. These are our employees. Could be our employees. We manage airports. We manage Samsung, Nokia stores. We manage mall securities, facilities management, and IT staffing. So and healthcare staffing. So we are across the spectrum of staffing world, right? And our vision is that we want to be $1 billion in next 3 to 5 years, 3 years actually, by acquiring at least 10-12 companies and go again as a public listing. So that will be the second IPO for me as an individual. So that's little about our company.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So
that's really wonderful.
A team of 8-10 people at the group level. Yeah.
That's great. So tell us, maybe just a connecting question to this. Do you hire the engineers as well? What are the resources you hire?
Sure. So I'll stick to this conversation on IT staffing, since I handle and I'm accountable for that portfolio at the group level. IT staffing, okay, the saddest part, I would rather say from this group perspective, to understand, one, none of the companies hire freshers on contracting. Companies go themselves and hire as a campus placement to engineering college freshers. But typically, the people we hire are absolutely 100% software engineers. But typically, experience range are 3-4 years to 14, 15, 16 years. We even have placed people at director levels of 70-80 lakhs on contracting now.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff we do. So when you say engineers, 100% engineers. Our skills could be as simple as Java, .NET, to a BI, analytics, RPA, artificial intelligence, full stack. I'm sorry, I'm sounding of some Latin American words, but a lot of product side, a lot of architects, a lot of infra guys, a lot of testing guys, a lot of dev guys. So so you name it in technology, we would do everything and anything in technology.
That's wonderful. I will come back to you on this question the moment the more questions start flooding in, because people have started putting their questions on the chat box. Before that, we go into that. We would like to come with your life journey. Tell us a little about some of your business school, like London School of Economics, New York University Stern, HEC, and now the Harvard. So just tell us about these business school.
Absolutely. So I think I'll start with LSE, London School of Economics. I mean, If you think of any finance ministers globally, right, or if you think of any chief economist or RBI economist, they're all ex-London School of Economics. Even Dr. Manmohan Singh is an alumni of LSE, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. And so is you. So we are really proud of you.
It's a proud feeling, but I mean, that's what I look up to, right? So LSE was one of a dream colleges I had when probably I was in HBTI or HBTU in the first, when I understood the concept of Ivy League business schools. I mean, start hearing from our seniors, right? I mean, some of your batch mates went to some of the Ivy League schools, right? And super seniors, right? So I still remember some of the names which were there that time, right? Shobhit Mathur, Deepak Sangal, and some of these guys, right? So So there is so LSE was my dream college, and when I was thinking for my MBA, so LSE is ranked top 5 universities in the world, and in economics probably the best so far. It's of course in the heart of the London, and it's one of the most dream colleges if you want to learn about economy or political science anywhere in the world. LSE or London School of Economics is the place to be in. I mean, there is nothing beyond that, right? Now, New York Stern, I won't rate in the top 10 schools of US, but yeah, top 15 schools. It's still the part of the Ivy League schools, but yes, the schools, Ivy League schools are more like Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, Kellogg's, Columbia, some of that. So yes, I did secure admission with Columbia. I did secure admission with Chicago Booth, which is ranked 4th globally. But I had an option to have a combination of 3 schools. And New York Stern is a very old institution, again in Manhattan. But very interestingly, it's a Wall Street school. So if you want to learn anything about the finance, it is the place for finance, learning finance. So that's New York Stern. Now, HEC is very interesting. I mean, trust me, till I started writing my GMATs and start preparing for my MBA, I've never heard about it. It is called HSA in a French terms. It's a French school. It's the oldest European school in the world. The school is 120 years old. If you look at the European school ranking, it is ranked number 1. It is ranked even higher up than the INSEAD and London Business School. So HSA is a school where all the European bureaucrats would come from. HSA, so if you look at the combination, if you're looking at political science and economics, it was LSE or negotiations, or what you call is public policy or public negotiations, right? Policy negotiations, or that comes LSE. If you look at financial world, it is NYU Stern. And if you look at marketing and into, I would say, luxury marketing. So you would find most of the Louis Vuitton, Cartier, MDs and CEOs are on Lamborghinis and all are from HSA. So there we marketing and finance world, if you ask me. So that kind of put together entire gamut of my schools. Having said that, I mean, I always believe a lifelong learning forever, and every 10 years, I think one should upgrade themselves in a very formal way. And trust me, Harvard is Harvard. It is the Makkah and Medina of MBA in the world. It is the best school ever, and it is ranked always number 1, irrespective of where you look at it. And Harvard is where you have the best of the alumni. Whether you look at the top Fortune 500 companies, 50% of them come from Harvard. So it was my dream to be a Harvard graduate. At that time, I had an option, but I wasn't too sure. But now I decided to again write my application for Harvard. Harvard has a flagship program called AMP, which is called Advanced Management Program. This program is only for 8-9 weeks. Yes, they charge $100,000 for the fees for 8-9 weeks only. The fees is 75 lakhs for only 8 weeks. And it's
really great.
Yeah, it's spread over a year. And this is where Ratan Tata and Kumar Mangalam is the AMP grads. That's how they're Harvard grads. So I was fortunate to secure admission. I got the letter in Feb this year. This course was supposed to start in July. In fact, 30th July was a flight to Boston. It is so I have to spend 2 weeks in Boston campus, in Harvard campus across 1 year. The typical batchmates of yours are people which are 20, 25 years plus experience. Average is 20 to 23. So here you'll find people 30, 35 experience. And it's an alumni ship for Harvard. So the dream which you chase and the dream which you believe you end up achieving at some point of time in life. And trust me, learning has no age, Your designation, your salary, your experience has nothing to do with your learning and your aspirations and your dream. So that's little about
Wonderful.
Shah, about these schools.
Wonderful, wonderful, and you have really put the perspective very clear, and people who are there with us would be getting the nick of it, what you are saying. And I understand you have done MBA, instead of MS, the Master of Science. Any personal insight or any personal preferences which you made you this choice?
Absolutely, I think. See, it's a personal choice. There's nothing right and wrong, right? Why somebody would move to electronics engineering versus mechanical versus chemical versus computers? It could be a function of your rank, and it could be a function of your choices, right? Now, guys, I don't know how much you know. I did from leather technology, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
So that's the strange part of life, right? And I do nothing in leather, right? And then I went on to do my MBA from best of schools, and today I learn large companies globally, right? So for me, first of all, I decided to do engineering because my parents were science professors, okay? Especially my dad. So it was a very natural instinct at that age where there was no Google, no smartphones, to go what your parents and your cousins do, right? Doctor, engineer,
exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Right? So I decided to pursue engineering.
Exactly.
Was I a brilliant student? I'll be candid with you guys. The answer is no. And I think Radha Khan Saab would remember some of it, so I would not even dwell that further. He would remember what kind of batch we were, and especially some of us who were very close friends in my batch. Yeah, we were fun-loving guys, right? But we did reasonably well. And by the first job of my batch, I was the guy who got the first job in the campus for my batch.
Yes.
It was a multinational. But if you personally ask me, one thing I realized that I am not cut out for technical work. It is not, I didn't like it, but it's not my capability or my competency. At some point in time, I realized that's not what I want to do in my life. That's not something what excites me and motivates me beyond a point. So engineering became a great base for me. It kind of get me to be out of my comfort zone of my home, learn some great subjects, get some logical reasoning in place. But this is where I want to spend my life? Probably no. Again, it's a personal choice. What I felt at some point in time in my HBTI career, hey, you know what? I would not. So either I can choose to be a manufacturing head, right? I can choose to be a CFO by doing a CA, right? I can be a marketing head. I can be a plant head, right? Or I can be. So I can do multiple kind of things. But what I realized that my strength probably would be, and what excited me at that time was horizontal roles. I want to be a COO or a CEO, where I would have a CFO also with me. I'll have a CHRO with me, the head of HR. I would have plant head also with me. I would also have, the engineering head, R&D head, so on and so forth, right? So it was a choice. And I think something which I realized, I was enjoying more services sector than manufacturing sector.
Okay.
Again, it's a very personal choice, guys. None of the careers are right or wrong. It's your personal choice. What motivates you, what excites you, what you want to be, pursue that in life. Yeah. So it was me who decided to go for MBA, management course, because I thought that gives me more horizontal roles rather than vertical roles. It also gives me entry into a services, which are typical engineering college, be more manufacturing oriented. By the way, guys, I worked for a year and a half before I did my MBA. So I think that time I also got further insight that I am not cut out for that kind of a jobs. Yeah, and I think more than I liked or did not like, I think it's my capabilities also. I think it's really to be open about your capabilities, what you're capable, what you're not capable of. So that was my personal choices. And I say, again, it is a personal choice. You guys take an MTech route or an MBA route or something else. Life. You can be, why can't you just work in civil services?
Exactly.
Right? So it's a personal choice. Why can't you be a professor? Do a PhD after that, right?
Yeah.
So every profession is great as long as you enjoy and you can contribute and make a great living out of it.
That's really wonderful. And you have basically giving very, very good insight that the person who is really interested in whatever field, whatever is giving them goosebump or giving them interest, they should go for that. Really wonderful. You are giving the insight of it. I would like to understand further in this the connecting question which is coming in my mind. how and when? Like you said that somewhere around 1.5 years after doing your job, you started thinking, this is not my place to be. Okay, you said that. And how and when you notice inside of you that what is interest and what is passion in you that you should go to MBA? When and how you basically notice this?
I mean, it's a difficult question to ask exactly when, but I think, when you see your seniors, right? I think, Radhakan Saab, it is you and your seniors and super seniors who inspire us, right? We were like a clay you can mold in any form of it, right? So you would have some speakers, you would kind of catch up with some of these super seniors, and you realize some of them is CEO, somebody is a VP, senior VP, executive VP, directors and all, and that inspires you, right? Now, when I was kind of getting into engineering, guys, I'll be very honest to you, I think I spent more time in the canteen than my classes in the campus.
So this is not a good message, but it is just to.
No, I mean, on a lighter note, guys, of course, we made sure that we are always 75% plus above, right? That's like a minimum.
Yeah.
There is nothing like, whether you study for 20 hours or 2 hours, that's your personal choices. Yeah,
exactly.
There is no compromise in terms of learning, and I'm sorry to say, but the learning is related to scoring marks in this world. So unfortunate, but that's true.
The yardstick is that only. The yardstick is that only. Yeah.
Absolutely. So while you can be far more learned than a person who scored 95%, but be it people look at marks or an entrance exam score, right? So no compromise on that. But somewhere, Radhakan Saab, boilers and all, when I was studying, I somehow did not enjoy much. Seriously, thermodynamics, fluid mechanics. मुझे अभी भी कुछ याद है. मतलब वो पता नहीं. मतलब चमका कि this is not my life, right? If I do also, I would never. So I have aspiration. I have a highly ambitious guy. A lot of aspiration for myself. I would never be able to fulfill my parents' aspirations or my family or my friends or people who love me. And I would be just an ordinary guy there, right? And somewhere when I was, one of my cousins also who became a CEO very early with Hindustan Lever, he went to Kellogg's. He my Masi's son. He's now the Hindustan Times Group CEO, Raj Jain. So all these people who inspired me, right? And said, you know what? I think there's a world beyond technology. And if you remember 24, 25 years back, MBA was like hot cake. I mean, even today it is hot cake, but
exactly.
It was like super hot cake. Yeah. So I think that's where I think it never happened. There was no one aha moment. There were like multiple moments of my life where I did not. So my marks in some of these subjects in engineering, hardcore engineering, also reflected that I am not good cut out for that. So. And I think my interest was more learning about management, reading newspapers like Economic Times. I think one thing I would tell you guys, irrespective what branch you do, you want to be a PhD scholar, you want to be just an engineer, you want to be an MBA, you want to be an MTech, reading news. And I'm sorry, but not like Pune Times or Delhi Times or Kanpur Times, but Economic Times or Financial Times. And today you have everything on your pads, laptops, and phones. I think that's a fantastic habit to have. And when you start reading about them, probably that also one thing which led to some of my excitement and some of my interest to go into this field, Radhakan Saab. So
that's
it's a combination.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So in all, I would say that something has basically driven you towards the MBA, and which was internally some interest which has took it towards this. And did you do some preparation to go this, or it just flown, like you just flew that I have to go in this direction?
No, I think anything you want to do, right? I mean, there is nothing like fluke in life, and flukes never lead to success or sustainable success.
No, I have not said the fluke, but I said it flew. You flew into it.
No. I'm telling you. So I'm saying. So I'm trying to tell the students also that there is nothing like shortcuts. What I'm trying to tell you. There is a huge investment of time and effort goes in all these kind of things. Yeah. So
for sure. Yes.
So I was actually coming to that. Not you're telling me, but I'm coming to that there are no shortcuts in life. You want to do your MTech from Virginia University, or you want to go to the Princeton University, trust me, or North Carolina University, trust me, it doesn't happen overnight. There's a journey you need to go through. I mean, you don't get a degree of 4 years before going through 4 years, right?
Yes.
So very similarly, this degree of any, no, it's not mine, anyone. It's a degree, it's a journey where you need to first understand. I think when you understand your interest levels, right? So my interest, for example, I can tell you it was MBA, right? Now choices in India and abroad. So yes, I thought, and I come from a very middle class family, by the way. My parents were both academicians, so it's not that we had loads of money to fund this. But then I realized there is a way and means to get funding on this, right? There are enough ways and means through universities. If you get a good score, you can get some scholarships, you can do some evening jobs, you can even serve burger in a burger joint, right, in US, and still study and would be a Harvard graduate, right? So nothing wrong in it, guys. Nothing is small or big. Kuch kaam chota bada nahi hota hai life mein, right? So yes, so one is identifying the colleges for yourself. So they are different. I mean, sure, we can talk a little more than where you can find the ranking of these colleges. Then you understand which geographies you want to be. You want to be in US, Europe, India, APAC, Singapore, Australia, or you may have 2 or 3 geographies in mind. And then there is a whole set of studies goes into it, because you need to go is a GMAT, like GRE for MS, GMAT is for MBA. And GMAT is like your mothership for all the exams globally for MBA. So, I mean, and the score it's 800, it's an exam which has got score of 800. But if you score anything less than 700, I'm sorry, you don't have a chance to qualify for any top universities in the world. And if I talk about Stern, LSE or HSA or Harvard, then you're talking about 740 plus. It's a percentile based score. And the exam is very different. It's an online exam. The score comes right in front of you. It's a 3-hour, 4-hour exam. It's English, quant, logical reasoning. And it's not an exam where you have it's a very different kind of an exam. The moment you start answering the questions, as your answers are right, the level of difficulty becomes increasingly high and your scoring becomes high. And the moment your answer is wrong, you drops again back. So scoring is very different, which nobody can decipher. So there is something called Barron Guides. There are a lot of colleges or MBA schools which helps you prepare that. While there are some great places you can refer to, but trust me, it is your interest, your passion, your energy, your commitment to it, along with your studies. Or I'll come back to that with the studies or with your job, right? Then prepare for this, appear for the exam, and then you see the score right in front of you, right? So you know where you land yourself. I mean, if you score 650, then you know you are in the what I call B grade schools. If you score 700, then you say I can be in the top schools. And if you're 740, then you're in the Ivy League schools. And Ivy League is nothing but the term used by US to classify their top 10 schools globally. This is typically Harvard #1, Stanford, Wharton, Kellogg's, Chicago Booth, Columbia, UC Berkeley, Princeton. Yeah, these are 8-10 schools, right? Yeah, these rankings keep flipping to, except for Wharton, Stanford, and Harvard. These are so Harvard is always #1. Wharton, Stanford keeps becoming #2, #3 at the time maybe. And then you have INSEAD, HSA. Then you have LSE, and then you have London Business School, and I mean we can go on and on, right? So I think so the GMAT is very important, Radha Saab, because before that, without that, this is like a passport, not even a visa. The visa is nothing but your essays. I think the amount of effort goes to write essays. So there will be typical 8-10 questions. Business school will ask you, why do you want to do an MBA? Why this school? What is your aha moment? What's your worst moment? What is your learning? What do you want to do in life? What's your statement of purpose? I mean, they're tricky questions, and you have to write essays of like 500 words minimum. And those essay writing, trust me, I think I took 4 or 5 months. And not all business schools have similar essays. Okay, so obviously you'll open few schools application because there's a fee for application. Each school would have an essays. There's essays. 50% will be similar, 50% will be different. Yeah. Then you write your essays. I mean, you probably write first time, then second time, third time. I think I probably would have done 4 or 5 iterations to it. And trust me, this essay is nothing but your life, you yourself, because in your interview, they're going to read those essays and they're going to only ask you. So it's a very serious affair. So your passport is your GMAT, your visa is your essays. After writing those essays, you get a call if you get lucky. Now, when you get lucky and you get a call, that's like now you're the immigration. They may still choose to send you. Now the interview becomes very important. So I think you may start with like 5,000 students probably, and you will land up with 10 students at the end of the process. So it's a very long run process. This process from start to end is almost a year. And then you look at different sessions. You can have a session starting in September. I start in September. You can have a session starting in summers. So depending on that time of the application and the time of your GMAT and your essays and interviews, you get admission. And then, yes, you apply for your visas, for a student visas. They send you all the documents. Then you go to the banks there. You apply for your you apply for your scholarships or funding. So all that follows. But it's a very painful, long journey, but journey which worth for your life. So you would be like 20, 21, 22 when you pass your engineering. Maybe 25, 24, you start your MBA. And you have good 35, 40 years ahead of your life. So a year and 40 years of your life is nothing compared to, right? Not even 2.5%.
That's really great.
Yeah, so that's why I would say, that's what I said, the fluke would not work in these kind of things for any one of us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it is a really resilience, hard work, and the connecting to their whatever. Like if I would like to go there, so I have to connect to myself with my uniqueness, which I possess. It should not happen that I should start copying somebody else and then I will write the essay and I will go there and I will get the admission. It is not that way.
You better not write GMAT also, then I would say. Don't even have a passport.
Exactly.
That would never be given to you. Because essays, I was shocked, the kind of professors where they actually have read every line of my essay. And if you write any false, or as you rightly said, what plagiarism, right? You copy from somewhere. That's the nail in the coffin.
Exactly.
So that's my request. That's the journey I'm sharing with you. I'm not scaring you, but I'm just telling you it's a hard work which takes you to where you want to be in life. But the beauty is that journey definitely takes you there if you take the journey seriously.
Yes.
With
exactly.
Blessings and a bit of luck. Absolutely.
Exactly. So I would like to, as you said, you already basically painted a very great portrait and a very great thing about the Ivy business schools. So if somebody is confused between the, local in India, why you have not gone into local institute and you have gone to Ivy business school? So anything specific, and then some experience which basically if you can share with the student, they will get some some future image of them being there. So maybe it will motivate them to go there.
Absolutely. So I'll give you 2-3 perspectives. So first of all, Indian business schools like IIMS, SP Jain, right? ISB Hyderabad. Trust me, guys, they're brilliant schools. So please, I think let me just kind of put a disclaimer here. You just don't become a CEO or a CFO or a CEO just by going to Ivy League schools. Sorry, that's not the intent. They are fantastic schools. Every country, there's some great schools in Australia, some great schools in Netherlands, some great schools in Spain, Italy, so on and so forth, right? Trust me, India has some fantastic schools, okay? Now, it's a very aspirational thing, right? One, I, at some point, wanted to be part of a curriculum, a part of a brand, which is recognized globally. So, so I was talking to a nephew of mine last week when I was in Delhi, Radhakan Saab. And he said, I want to go to, Australia, for example. I want to go to Netherlands. He wanted to go to Europe or Australia. So my view to him was, you know what? If you want to settle in Australia for your life, then pick up the top 5 schools of Australia, take an admission there, do your MBA there, and stay happy for life. But if you want to work globally, if you have an aspiration that tomorrow I want to pick up a job in Wall Street, I want to go to New York, I want to go to Hong Kong, I want to go to China, I want to be in Japan, I want to be in Russia, I want to be in UK, then you better be from a global school.
Okay.
So it's one is aspirational thing, right? So not that IIM guys don't go or ISB guys don't go, they do go. But the chances of others going is way too high, right?
Yeah.
Second thing, very important. I think I would still say there is 2 or 3 differences which I have observed because I go and talk to a lot of Indian business schools now as they invite me once in a while to talk about my journey and some leadership traits, the usual, right? The usual management funda I give them because it's always good fun, right? To talk to students, right? It's amazing rather. You drive a lot of energy from them, right? A lot of learning from them. So one thing which I realized that the way they teach in US, some of the Ivy League or some of the top schools, it's very case study basis, very case study oriented. So they would teach you a concept, but they'll teach you at least 5 cases globally where you can relate the application of that concept. Which somewhere the Indian education system still lacks a lot in that. We are still very theoretical than practical oriented or application oriented. Right? Academia wise, I think we're the best brains in the world, right? Nobody can touch us. I think where we probably lack is the application aspect of it. And that's where I think Westerners takes the leap ahead, right? Yeah. Second part, I also realized that the alumni concept, I think you all like the new man, I mean, what HBTI has done has never been done in the last 50, 60, 70 years of HBTI history. The executive council which has been formed now, which Radhakant Saab is a part of it, Praveen, a very dear friend of mine, Saplika Basak and many others, right? Balram and all. For the first time, they're building a community now, which is the alumni community, which can support, which can interact with the students and do a lot of things together, right? I think that concept existed almost 40 years, 30 years back. So when I travel anywhere in the world, I just have to write into my alumni chat group and say, you know what? I'm traveling in this country. Anybody available? Trust me, if I'm there for 3 days, every day I'm having a dinner with somebody or the other of a Harvard school or a Stern or LSE who I've never met in my life. They're not from my batch, doesn't matter. And these are like CXO level guys or women, I mean, either way, right? So that concept of belongingness, that concept of, togetherness, that concept of alumni cohort, I think still we are way behind in India when it comes to that, unfortunately. So I think again, IIMs are fantastic. I am Ahmedabad, one of my batchmates, one of my dearest friend, Prakash. He was the chairman for IIM's admission council. He is in IIM Lucknow. He's a professor there, a PhD. Very dear friend. IIMs are amazing. It's very difficult to crack an IIM. Going to Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta. Radhakant Saab, you'll remember those days, right? IIM was a dream, right?
Yeah.
Today, ISB, SP Jain, Nursi Mohanji, Symbiosis, IMD Ghaziabad. I can name some IMT Ghaziabad already, IMD Gurgaon, right? It's not that India doesn't have schools. Please don't take me wrong, guys. Great schools. Again, please remember, just entering into a school means nothing. It's again an entry point. You guys came to HBTU, that's it. Now you're all equal. Now again, you have to perform to stand out of it. I mean, there are guys in Harvard who have become CEO. There are still Harvard guys who are probably senior managers still today. It's again up to you, how you make out of it, how you make the best use of education, your surroundings, your people, your professors, everybody around you, right? Your seniors, juniors, everybody. So just getting an entry no MBA school gives you a CEO job. There's no company says कि ये degree कर लिया तो CEO बन जाओगे कल भाई. ऐसा नहीं होता कहीं दुनिया में.
Yeah. So just relating to this question, there is always a dilemma कि पहले just college के बाद MBA करना चाहिए or let's do some year of experience in job and then we should go for the MBA or any further education. What is your take on this?
I'll have 2 takes before pandemic and in pandemic. Okay.
Okay.
Because 2 things have changed, right? The baselines have been reset in life, right? So fundamentally, my view is work for 2-3 years and then do your higher studies. Okay. उसका एक बहुत simple reason है life में. First thing, okay, if you look at IIMs, and I'm not shifting my gears, not just Ivy League. I just want to make sure the best of business schools, India or globally, they would take students only with 2 to 3 years experience. Like IIM Calcutta, हाथ भी नहीं लगाता आप fresher होगा. Even if you clear the exam. Okay? End of the exam. So, one, they prefer to have students who have certain experience. And typically, the good would be 2 to 3 years. Okay? Now, also very important is, अभी क्या आप student हो and आप student ही चले जाते हो, तो वो ना hard reality of the corporate world, the hardship of life there, हमने जो सीखा और जो हम कर रहे हैं, they are not related. Boss क्या होता है? What is the dynamics of internal corporate structures, policies, integrity, value system, performance? Trust me, the easiest and the best life right now we have is in HBTU, guys. The fun loving life out there is very different. Radhakant Saab is senior to me, so he can tell you, being a part of large corporation, life is very different out there. Very different. It may look very nice that ये title है, VP हैं, directors and senior VP हैं, head हैं, फला हैं. Guys, not every become heads, not every become VP. Please understand. It's not even 1% people in the same batch of people, right? It's a amount of hard work, and you have to navigate that system. You have to unlearn a lot of things in life. So I think it kind of gives you the practical exposure, the application part of your studies, and also you get the hard reality check कि भैया दुनिया ये है. अब मुझे क्या करना है ये सोच लेता हूं मैं. So I would probably say, and obviously, to be very honest to you guys, we all come from middle class families. Most of us, and that's how Indian demographics are. I think we also save some money. पैसे की वैल्यू समझ में आती है. तो पेरेंट्स फंड करते हैं ना, तो बड़ी ऐश होती है लाइफ में. मेरा जो था वो मोमेंट ड्राइंग का जो स्केल था, वो क्या जो भी बोलते थे हम लोग, क्या बोलते थे राधाकांत साहब, एमडी का वो स्केल बड़ा महंगा आता था ना, वो एक स्केल जो हमें जैन साहब पढ़ाया, आरके जैन साहब पढ़ाया,
प्रोटेक्टर बोलते थे, प्रोटेक्टर.
हाँ,
वो जैसे हम
उसको मैंने
इंजीनियरिंग ड्राइंग बताते थे.
अरे आरके जैन साहब पढ़ाते थे हमारे को. मैंने हर 3 महीने खरीदा है वो. और मैंने खरीदा कब नहीं, बिकॉज पैसे खत्म जाते थे यार पिक्चर में और खाने पीने में. पेरेंट्स आर गिविंग मनी, सो यू डोंट केयर. बट ट्रस्ट मी, व्हेन यू स्टार्ट अर्निंग, देन यू से अरे भाई रेंट भी मुझे देना है, खाना भी मुझे खाना है, पिक्चर भी देखनी है, और घर भी जाना है एक बार, और कपड़े भी धोने हैं. So I think the realization of earning money and the value of money, and then you also save money in that process of 2-3 years.
Yes.
I think we should, and you become more independent, more matured, if I use the word, right? So that's the way I would look at it, and I would always encourage that. And that is not for only you. I mean, if my brother or sister, I'm the only child, so no brother sister. अगर मेरा भाई बहन होता या मेरी बेटी जो भी 9th class में, I would recommend the same for her as well. Okay, but पैंडेमिक में लाइफ थोड़ी डिफरेंट है. इफ देयर आर पीपल इन 5 स्टूडेंट्स, बिकॉज कई लोगों को भी जॉब नहीं मिल रहा है. जॉब हैज बिकम अ रेयर कमोडिटी. सो इफ यू डोंट गेट अ गुड जॉब, देन माय सजेशन इज गेट टू एमबीए राइट अवे एंड लीव फॉर योर हायर स्टडीज. आई मीन राइट अवे मतलब लीव मतलब, हाँ, बिकॉज देन इट्स नॉट अ चॉइस. आई एम जस्ट बीइंग वेरी प्रैक्टिकल एंड pragmatic.
Thank you. And just connecting to this MBA, like as you are, we are now walking on the path of the MBA. So I would like to understand one more thing. Like there are many programs, like just to benefit of all who are present here. There are many MBA programs, like in finance. There is some people go in HR, people go in general management. There are so many specialization. How one will understand that I'm best in this? How to identify that I'm good in MBA finance, I'm good at MBA HR, I'm good at general management? How should I know my inner quality that I will be a good fit in here?
ये आपने राधाकांत साहब बात करी है सोल सर्चिंग की कि मैं क्यों हूं पर मेरी लाइफ कर रहा है. That's like that kind of question. So okay, first of all, Radhakant साहब, there is a myth that MBAs are specialized. MBAs are never specialized. MBAs are MBAs. There is nothing like a chemical engineering or leather or a paint or oil tech. कुछ नहीं होता है. MBAs are MBAs. Whether you go to IIMS, you go to ISB, or you go to London Business School, you go to Europe, you go to NUS, National Singapore University, go to any colleges, MBA is MBA.
Yeah.
It is in that process of when you're doing MBA, you realize that I'm more towards HR. I'm more towards finance. And then you probably take some more, small time courses to build your more competencies. And that is why I'm saying those 2-3 years of your experience give you that insight. When आप कंपनी में काम करते हो ना, आपके पास CFO भी होता है आपके आसपास, कहीं पर फाइनेंस के भी होते हैं, HR के भी होते हैं, प्लांट के भी होते हैं, R&D के, मार्केटिंग, सेल्स, सब होते हैं ये लोग. That time you figure out कि अरे यार, this is more exciting to me in life. ये कुछ नया करना है. And trust me guys, that rediscovery you will continue to do forever in life. Trust me, there's never a day where you say यही मुझे करना था, यही मेरे निर्वाणा मिल गया मुझे. वो कभी नहीं होता. अगर वो हो गया, then you are dead.
Yeah.
And dead means not physically dead, मतलब आपकी एस्पिरेशन खत्म हो गई है.
Yes, आपकी ग्रोथ रुक गई है. आप वहीं पे रुक गए हो. Yes.
You stagnate. So पानी का ठहराव है. अभी गंगा आप हर की पौड़ी पे नहीं हो बॉस anymore. या बिटूर में नहीं हो.
Yes.
फिर आप बहुत चिल्ले बैठे.
और उसकी पानी स्टैंडर्ड तो महकने भी लगता है. It start giving very foul smell.
डेंगू भी उससे ही होता है.
Yes. So एक छोटा सा और क्वेश्चन था इसी के साथ में, why Harvard now in your career when you have already done 3 Ivy business league school and you are in a large कंपनी के आप सीईओ साहब भी हो फिर ये क्यों ऐसा इस समय भी? आई अंडरस्टैंड कि आप यही आंसर करो कि एवर लर्निंग इज एवर
मैं कुछ और भी बोलता हूँ फिर
सो वो और कुछ क्या है वो मैं समझना चाहता हूँ.
सो आई थिंक एक चीज तो मैंने बोला आपको कि मेरा जब से मैंने समझा है कि एमबीए क्या होता है लाइफ में, तब से हार्वर्ड अलग ही था हमेशा से. और वो दिल में तमन्ना एंड दैट डिजायर टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ हार्वर्ड स्कूल वाज ऑलवेज देयर इन माय लाइफ. ओके, व्हिच आई वांट टू, मतलब दिस इज लाइक समथिंग मुझे करना ही है. ना एक ख्वाहिश जिंदगी पूरी करनी है तो हार्वर्ड करनी है, राइट? सेकंड थिंग आई थिंक, सी ट्रस्ट मी गाइस, सीईओ बनना अपने आप में प्रोबेबली एक बहुत बड़ा माइलस्टोन है लाइफ का, बट दैट्स नॉट द एंड ऑफ इट ऑल. एंड इट्स वेरी लोनली आउट देयर. होता क्या है कि सीईओ बनने के बाद आपके कोई फ्रेंड्स और एनिमीज कुछ नहीं होते हैं किसी कंपनी में. दे आर, इट्स वेरी लोनली आउट देयर इन द पिरामिड, राइट? Now there what you need is, and then you would like to be on the board members of few companies, you want to be a mentor, you want to be an advisor, in a way then you want to a different shape and form of your life. If I look at myself over the next 5-6 years, after this great one exit we want to do again as an IPO, which is our dream for this company, I'll probably so I'm on a board of board directors on few companies. I'm on board directors on one of the large companies in paper mill. It's almost 2,000 crores. I'm on a board of a defense technology company. I'm on advisory board of a large business school now, where we have Sashi Tharoor and Arun Nair and all these guys, member of parliament, the chief economist of RBI and all, Mukund Ranjan and all. So I'm on the advisory board of that. So I think that's where I see myself, that tomorrow I would like to be a part of board directors of certain companies. And trust me, that it is all about networking. End of the day, it's all about networking. What Harvard gives you, the phenomenal learning. Harvard, in fact, is the most unique learning, right? They're all case study based. It's their IP, right? Harvard case studies are known in the world, right? HBR, what we call Harvard Business Review, right? Which comes out. But usse important kya hai, the kind of people in Harvard, the group of people whom I would study and the alumni group I get, it will open immense doors to do business, partner and collaborate and learn. I think that opens doors like which none other can open in my life. And trust me, when I walk into, when we open doors like we want to have large global clients, you walk into, you look at that, the name of the top 5 guys or lady there, you would find all out of 5 of them, at least 3 of them from Ivy League schools, and probably Harvard will appear at least one of them. If Harvard, not Stanford. And trust me, LinkedIn guys, please use it amazingly well. It is the best boon in a professional civilization, if I call it. You can network with anybody, nobody stops you, but your profile, your title, your picture, all has to be very professional. And Radhika Saab, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it says Harvard alumni, right? It says Chief Executive Officer. It says MBOD. MBOD is nothing but member of board directors. I'm on the board of few companies, right? Yeah. And I write also the MBA from Stern, LSE, and HSA. I have a base of almost 29,000 people in LinkedIn, where 30,000 the maximum, which I reached a year back, and I keep deleting my, and I don't no more. I can't accept any more invites. So I can only have followers. My followers are almost 66, 67,000 right now in LinkedIn. That's why I get tagged by a lot of people. Now that connection, trust me, is not कि अनुराग से मिले वो लोग. I think the company which I represent, the schools which I have gone to, plays a tremendous role there. And because people do believe कि अगर तुम यहाँ से पढ़े हो या तुम किसी कंपनी, बड़ी कंपनी के CEO, अच्छी कंपनी के, कुछ तो तुम में होगा यार. सो यस, अगर इनवाइट भेजा अनुराग ने या हम भेजते हैं तो उससे कनेक्ट करने में कुछ फायदा, म्यूचुअल लर्निंग, म्यूचुअल बेनिफिट, म्यूचुअल कोलैबोरेशन हो सकता है. सो आई थिंक दैट प्रोबब्ली इज वन ऑफ द फ्यू रीजंस, बट मोर देन आई थिंक इट्स माय ड्रीम. दैट्स एज सिंपल एज दैट. ड्रीम के लिए आदमी क्या नहीं करता है, राइट?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. एंड आई फर्दर टू दिस, लाइक एक बार सभी के बेनिफिट के लिए, मे बी आप एक बार रिपीट कर दो. आप रिपीट आपको ये करना है, वो जो आपने पासपोर्ट और वीजा और इमिग्रेशन और ये पूरा आपने बताया, उससे एक बार सभी को उसकी स्कॉलरशिप के साथ में थोड़ा सा उसको टैग करके बता दीजिए, क्योंकि पीपल आर थिंकिंग कि जस्ट जीमेट हमने दिया और अच्छा स्कोर आ गया तो हम आई विल गेट इन. देन अच्छा ऐसे लिख लिया, किसी का कॉपी करके ऐसे लिख लिया तो आई विल गेट इन, बिकॉज मेनी क्वेश्चंस आर कमिंग इन. आई एम जस्ट सीइंग दोस
अच्छा,
एक बार उसको और अच्छी तरह से एलिब्रेट करके बता दो आप, जिससे कि दे अंडरस्टैंड कि आपको अपनी यूनिकनेस, सोल सर्चिंग की जो भी आपने बात करी, उससे कनेक्ट होना बहुत जरूरी है। एक बार थोड़ा सा और एलिब्रेट कर दो आप सभी को अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए।
sure, sure. So again, that passport wala story, I just made it. I just thought on my feet while I was talking to you, Radhakant Saab. But first of all, I think there has to be a lot of pre-work has to be done before even preparing for GMAT. आपको MBA करना है या नहीं करना है, क्यों करना है, and कहाँ से करना है. I mean, you need to have a list of some schools. I think I missed something which I said. I'll elaborate. Go to FT ranking, which is called Financial Times ranking. You will see, right, just write on Google, say MBA FT ranking. Every year they come with a ranking of schools globally. You also have MBA schools, you have European schools, you have executive schools. So you have all those kind of schools. So there you can go to the list. Indian school में सिर्फ एक ही आता है ISB, which again in 20s में आता है कहीं पर, top 30s में आते हैं. ISB is one of the only school which Radhakant Saab comes from India side. Sadly, I mean, great institutions we have in India, but we are still not ranked. I mean, highly because of the way we teach. Not the curriculum, but the way we teach, unfortunately. I mean, that's what I could say. I shouldn't be saying that, but that's the reality for us, right? I mean, कहने से मैं अलग नहीं हो जाऊंगा, right?
Yeah.
So I think one is you should be clear what you want to do, why you want to do, what kind of schools you want to apply. Then, अगर आपको बाहर जाना है तो GMAT is the best way. And you prepare for your GMAT. GMAT's preparation is a good 6 months preparation. You have courses, you have books. But सबसे important GMAT में राधाकांत साहब जो मैंने नहीं बोला पहले, you need to take at least 25 mock test. मतलब आप रूम में बंद करके टाइम करके 3 घंटे का एग्जाम ऐसे लेंगे जो आपने एग्जैक्ट जैसे आप लोगे वहां पे रियल में. एंड वो एग्जाम
एग्जैक्टली
25 कम से कम लेने चाहिए. एंड आई एम वेरी सीरियस अबाउट दैट. 20 से 25 एग्जाम नहीं लिए तो आप कभी भी GMAT नहीं होगा. बिकॉज the scoring pattern is different. Nobody knows how the scoring happens in GMAT. And the GMAT, if you score less than 700 out of 800, then don't even think about getting good schools. And don't waste time and money by going to not good schools. मतलब बाहर भी जा रहे हो तो फिर अच्छे स्कूल में जाओ. क्यों जा रहे हो यार? घूमने जा रहे हो, डैड का पैसा बहुत सारा है तो बात अलग है भाई. Otherwise मत जाना. I mean, I always tell people, if you want to leave your country, unless and until you want to go to Australia and stay in Australia, then you can look at top university of Australia. But the top University of Australia is not even the top 50 of the world. Suppose you want to go to Ireland, look at Trinity College, which is not 50 college of in the globe list, but Trinity is best in Ireland. But आपको फिर Ireland में रहना है. That's where you want to settle yourself, right? Yeah. So again, nothing is right, nothing is wrong. I'm just giving you perspectives, right? Then आपका GMAT exam दीजिए. उसके बाद the essays is a good 3 to 4 months process because they want to know you and only you. Okay. Nothing more, nothing less. And that part is very important because that reflects you. And that questions are 8-10 questions. It takes 3-4 iterations and you cannot copy. Never even dare do that. That's like आपका GMAT का score बेकार हो गया समझ लो. And the good news is GMAT score is valid for 5 years, guys.
Yeah.
That's something actually I must state. So passport is the GMAT score. Visa is getting your essays and get your call from the university. Then your stamping is none other but your interview. So each of these have a very significant role in life. So ऐसा नहीं है कि मैंने GMAT में अच्छा स्कोर एडमिशन हो गया या मेरी कॉल आ गई तो एडमिशन हो गया. No, it is every step there's a big screening going on. Every step you would leave thousands of students behind and move forward. Yeah. HBTU आने के लिए भी टाइम मेहनत लगी होगी. ऐसा नहीं कि सबका एडमिशन हो गया HBTU में. I mean, HBTU हमारे टाइम पर, I'm sure today also was a dream school, a dream college. I mean, I would say it was genuinely a dream college. उस समय MNREC होता था, उसके अंदर HBTU was in the top 3. मोतीलाल नेहरू था एक अपना HBTU था, एक लखनऊ था, IIT लखनऊ, and they used to be in Pantnagar. 4 या 5 एक मदन मोहन गोरखपुर था, but HBTI was always top 3. And HBTI was the oldest institution, which has a lot. I mean, it's one of the oldest in India. I mean, Roorkee के बाद second oldest I think is HBTI. And what a campus we have, right? Yeah. So dream college था ये. And luckily for our batch, हमारी counseling भी HBTI में हुई थी. So we got inspired, right? Yeah, solid जगह है, right? So yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean, you get inspired, right, by seeing certain things in life, right? And हम लोग की पहली बार रैगिंग हो गई जब हम लोग अपनी काउंसलिंग के रहे थे, तो we met some seniors at that time. We understood क्या होता है भाई. So I think, so passport is your GMAT, your visa is your call from the university, your stamping of visa by the immigration officer is getting a letter. उसके बाद भी visa मिलना बहुत critical है, because governments can today still say no visas. Visa is not easy nowadays. So yes, but university really gives you all the documents. You have to apply for visas, and then when you also start applying for your scholarship stroke evening work. At times you get there, but student loan is easily available at a very cheap rate. I mean 3-4% में मिलता है US में, Europe में, and they start charging you only after 5 years of your completion. Radha Khan Saab.
Yes.
So even if you take a loan of 1 crore or 70 lakhs, 80 lakhs, trust me, it's peanuts. कभी कोई से default नहीं student ने in universities के. So the kind of placements you get, the kind of jobs you get, the kind of work you get to do. So don't worry about that. And also my view is, please study, please work for a couple of years if possible, save some money so you don't have to worry and hop onto your parents day one. Yeah.
So Anurag, I would like to ask one more question. There is a basically question on the chat box. There are many, courses online available from IB schools. Would you recommend to these people, or what is your take on it?
So courses, okay, absolutely right. So there are a couple of things we have to understand. So if you go to any Harvard school or koi bhi school, IIM se le jao, right? IIM se website pe jao, multiple school. MBA is pure MBA. There is nothing beyond plus minus MBA. The flagship programs of all these schools are MBAs. अभी क्या है कि IIMs में executive MBA भी होता है, IIMs में 1 year MBA भी होता है for the so there are different variants. देखिए राधा खान साहब, ultimately everything is a commercial model.
Yeah.
जो बिकता है वो खरीदता है, right? जो खरीदता है वो बिकता है, types, right? So all these institutions have realized that they can start some vocational courses, 3 months online courses, 6 months. अभी कितने online courses आ गए, right? 6 months online courses, 2 months, 1 month. It's a commercial model. But the standard program which you guys should go in your life to start with is a pure MBA. Baki sare courses you can keep doing after every 5 years, 10 years. You can do whatever you want to do in life. But एक post graduate degree, चाहे वो MTech की हो, चाहे वो MBA की हो, it has to be a proper one. That's what would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
Look at the question about 40 years of your life.
Exactly. So I hope I have not taken a lot of time of yours, and all the students would have really got much thing beyond their expectations, and talking with you was really fun, and not only fun, I also got enlightened, and I will be basically sharing your thoughts with other people as well, whoever is interested to know about this higher education. Just on the concluding word, like you have basically made a very good image of MBA. If somebody would like to go for MS, so maybe some tips on MS, if somebody would like to go for MS. So maybe you have some idea of how you have gone there for higher education. Some tips on MS if you can share with us.
Sure. Again, I would be a little generic here. Again, for MS or MTech, you can do from IITs, right? There's some great institutions in India, or again, you go to outside the world. You got to give GRE or MTech entrance exams, pretty much like that. You again have to score there. I think वहाँ पे interviews और वहाँ पे आपका essays इतना बड़ा session नहीं है यहाँ पे, राधा खान साहब. Yeah, it is much simpler there.
Yeah,
I mean जितना मुझे पता है. But my point is again, MTech doing from some of these universities, whether it's IITs or ISC Bangalore, right? Praveen वहाँ से, brilliant place, yeah. I mean, it's like almost renowned globally. I mean, let's not forget about our mitti ki khushbu types, right? So it's a brilliant college, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people go for MS, and they are placed at a very high level as product heads, product engineers in Apple, Microsoft. These are dream jobs, you know. I mean, again, I'm come from IT world, so I'll be again a little specific. Radha Khan Saab, you come from a different world. I mean, engineering jobs, like engineering heads, right? Plant heads, they are brilliant jobs, right? R&D heads.
Yeah.
I think, again, about your passion. Some people are like, I want to be an individual contributor. I want to do R&D. I mean, every department has a very significant role in making it happen, right? ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई डिपार्टमेंट किससे कम है. Of course, the only difference is कि बाकी रोल्स में P&L नहीं होता, प्रॉफिट लॉस नहीं होता है, वो बिजनेस में होता है. So people like me get a kick in the business role. कि रेवेन्यू कितना और मार्जिन कितना पैसा बनाया साल के एंड में. That is get a kick.
Yeah.
Where R&D head would not be responsible for the profit and loss, or a sales head, for example, or a CFO would not be responsible. Because CFO only collate numbers and present them, but business who runs the business, right? So again, my point is simple. जो भी करना है, see, a lot of people enter engineering because inspired by our brothers, sisters, father, mother, cousins, right, or some neighbors and all. But I think now you should introspect and reflect and understand आपको क्या excitement है life में, what really motivates you, inspires you. Deep study of what is the best possible education, at what point of time. Again, your financial status of your life. Again, your risk-taking capabilities, your job availability right now. All that plays a role. There is no single answer to any of these solutions, right? There are multiple variables. See your own variable. Don't copy anyone. I always say. Based on your variable, take a decision and move forward. And
Thank you, Anurag.
Deep study of where do you want to study, because that's also very important, boss. And trust me, engineering आज के ज़माने में is equal to a graduation beyond a point if you have an aspiration to grow in life. So please remember, कभी तो जिंदगी में आगे पढ़ना पड़ेगा. कब पढ़ना है वो आप डिसाइड करना.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Anurag, and it was really very insightful and very meaningful discussion which we had. May I ask you, may I take a permission to show you one nostalgic photograph of yours so everybody sees that? if you allow me, if you
आपके साथ ही है.
हाँ वही वाली है. If you allow me. So everybody, just I'm going to show you one photograph of Mr. Anurag Gupta, which we have, got it from my archive. Let me show you all. This is the photograph. It was a talents night. You remember?
So I'm in the white shirt with the Gallus. And Adhakar
yes.
is on top of me.
I'm stepping you. I'm stepping you.
हाँ, and पता है पीछे कौन खड़ा है? स्वप्न का बसक.
Yes. See the स्वप्न लिखा बस है.
Some amazing memories.
Yes.
Thank you. You really made me special. Thank you so much. Love you for this.
Thank you so very much, and really appreciate it for your time and energy which you have basically shared with us. And it is going to be a long way. Even if we have able to ignite 10 or 20% people who are attending this, we have done our job. So thank you very much, and thank you very much to who all have been in this entire session. Whatever question do you have, you can write to me. I will just share with Mr. Anurag, and if he has some time, since he is a very busy person, whatever. Yes, and he will surely take out the time and he will surely answer you. So thank you very much, and God bless you all. Do well and connect to your uniqueness. Great uniqueness. Thank you very much, Anurag.
It was lovely to talk to you today. And thanks everyone.
Thank you so much.
Wish you good luck. Stay safe. Stay safe with you and your family. Stay healthy.
Yeah.
God bless. Good luck. Thanks.
God bless. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.